Hello, Paul McFadden here, and welcome to my new podcast, 365 Days of Property Tips, where every morning through 2021, I'm going to be dropping a new podcast for you to tune into. Now, I'm excited about this because I get to spend the next year with you, and I've got so much content and value to bring your way. Regardless to whether you're maybe considering and thinking about getting started in property, but you're just maybe not sure where to get started. Or maybe you've recently got started, but you're wondering what's going to be the right investment strategy, or what's the next steps that you should be taking. Or maybe you've got an existing property business that you're looking to take to the next level. Regardless to where you're at in your property journey, the stuff I'm going to be covering is going to help you on that journey. We're going to talk about the mindset side of things and what it's truly going to take to make sure that you win in this game of property. We're going to talk about core business principles and how to build a successful and profitable property business. We're going to get into things such as doing the right due diligence, how to source and find the deals, how to structure those deals, what's the right investment strategies. We'll get into advanced investment strategies, how to raise the finance so you can fund your deals. And I never want to record any more than a few days in advance to make sure that I keep this podcast as relevant and as current as possible. If there's anything topical that breaks, I'm going to be covering it, especially things around the economy and what you should be aware of and what's the right strategies at any given time. And with that, I'm going to take you on the journey wherever I am in the world, because right now I'm currently recording this podcast in Costa Rica. Now, we live in the city in Costa Rica, so there'll be a little bit of background noise that you'll probably hear. But in a few days' time, we're going to head out to the beach at Guanacaste, where you'll maybe hear waves and the ocean in the background, and definitely a change of environment. And then obviously, once I get back to the UK, we'll be taking you on the journey there, maybe take you out to some of the sites that we're working on, some of the various projects that we've got. I just want to keep this conversational, take you on the journey, let you be aware of the things that I'm working on, what I'm doing, some of the extra things I want to cover, some of the personal development things that's worked for me, some of the life hacks that helped me in my property journey as well, and it's helped for many of our clients that go through our programs. I just want to give you as much value as possible, and spending the next year with you is going to give me an opportunity to do that. Now, before I formally introduce myself for those who are maybe not aware of me and share a little bit more about how I got started in property, let's connect. So to connect, go to paulmcfadden.com, and there you're going to see links to my Instagram, LinkedIn, as well as Facebook. So let's connect on those social platforms. Also, subscribe to my YouTube channel, where I put out more additional video content that's going to help you on your journey. And also, if you like to watch these podcasts rather than listen to them, then on my YouTube, there's a playlist that's going to be dedicated to this podcast. So you can go and watch along on the podcast there. Also, what I recommend you do is go to paulmcfaddenwealth.com, because if you go there, there's more additional resources and support tools that will help you on your journey, as well as links to two of my Amazon #1 best-selling books, Your Property Jumpstart, which will really help you, give you a good baseline understanding knowledge to help you understand this whole property game, especially help you accelerate things. Also, the Property Success Mindset, which is all about winning the inner game. So there's two great books that you should go and grab right now. So go to paulmcfaddenwealth.com, follow the links there. And if you're looking for education or training to help you get started in property or help you accelerate your existing property business, you can check out the various Protégé program and other things that we do on that page. So let me tell you a bit more about my own personal story and my own journey and how I get started in property. So I get started at the age of 19. Now, prior to that, I grew up in a tough council estate in a single parent household with my mum and two younger sisters. And my mum struggled, she truly did. But the reality is that she did the best that she could possibly do with the resources that she had. But for me, I wanted a change of environment. I wanted to get out of that council scheme mentality where there was lots of underage drinking, drugs and gang fights. I knew that wasn't for me. I wanted more of life. And I saw that those who had money had different choices. They had better decisions they could make, and they had a very different living environment. So I knew that having money would change things for me. And my mum and my uncle, they were very supportive, and they were encouraging me to go down the computing route, going down the IT route, because they saw that that was the future and where money could be made. So I found myself going to college and then university and got a degree in computers, and then got my first job in IT. And it was around about this time that I saw an advertisement in a newspaper for an education and property training company that were going to teach you how to get started in property. And I went along to that seminar. It was an American company that came to the UK, and I was blown away. Couldn't believe that you could get started in property and build a property portfolio and make a lot of money. This was all pre-2008 recession. Now, I couldn't afford the £25,000 tuition fees that they were going to charge to teach you how to do all of this stuff, but the seed was planted for me to want to get involved in property, and I'm glad it did at such a young age, at the age of 19. Now, I've been involved in property for 16 years now, because I'm 35, but really the first half of that, the first 8 years, I was just figuring this stuff out. It was crazy. I had no idea what on earth I was doing. Now, one thing I did do is I kept that going, the whole idea of getting involved in property, and I went to a property networking event a month after being at that educational event. And I went to a networking event, and I just had a whole bunch of investors there talking about that they couldn't find deals, and I'd ask questions, what is a deal? And they would say some things. And then what I would then do back then is I went out and started viewing properties on Rightmove, and then go and view properties in person. And then I remember meeting one estate agent who would take me seriously, because the biggest challenge I had at such a young age, at age 19, is I looked very baby-faced. I looked like I was 12 years old. So trying to get people to take me seriously was quite a bit of a challenge. But one estate agent would, and because I'd been to the networking event and had met a bunch of investors, I told him that some investors I had were looking for a discounted property. And the estate agent helped me find a property in my area that I was investing or looking to invest in when I was brought up effectively, and they found a 17% below market value deal. Now, I'd done nothing here other than go to a networking event, find out what they're looking for, tell that to the estate agent, and he found me a deal. Now, he gave me all the information, and I went along to that networking event a month later and basically said, look, I've got a deal. And I put the deal down, and one guy came up to me and had a look at the deal and says, yes, I'll take that deal. So I'm just about to broker my first property deal. I had no idea what I was doing, and he turns around and asks me how much I want for the deal. Now, for me, I had no idea how much I charge, and the figure that I asked for was I thought it was asking for a huge amount of money. So I turned around and I said, £1,000. And he turns around and says, okay, I'll do that deal. So I brokered my first property, which was a property deal trade. So I brokered my first property deal, made £1,000. Now, just so you know that we teach through our training programs how you can broker a deal to make £7,500 minimum. So it just shows you can make significantly more than what I made on my first property deal. But remember, I had no idea what I was doing. So that there gave me so much confidence and belief that I could actually do this. And I'm glad that I did my first deal. So then what happened is I was just doing a couple of deals, packaging up a few deals and selling them on to those investors. And while this was happening, I then quit my job in IT to start up an events promoting business, because I thought I want to be an entrepreneur. Now, that business failed miserably, and I found myself in a situation where I had to get a job again. So I was back in employment, but this time I did not want to go back into IT. What I wanted to do this time instead is get involved with my uncle and work as a general labourer, because in my mind it was going to be short term, because I wanted to get involved more in property. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So working with my uncle, I was digging holes, sweeping up, fetching the coffees. That's the type of jobs that I was doing. But because of my IT degree, the labour manager then wanted me to go through my construction management degree, and then I became a trainee site manager, which was great because I get to work on some larger sites and learned a lot, which helped me in my property journey as well. So while I was doing all of that, I started to build my property portfolio, because I was doing every bit of overtime that I could possibly do to really fund my education, because I then started to invest in my personal development with people like Tony Robbins, T. Harv Eker, Chris Howard, Jim Rohn, the greats of personal development, because I had to change my mindset, because I really wanted to get dialed in to give me the best possible chance to succeed. So while I was doing this, I started building up my property portfolio, and then by the age of 24, 5 years from a standing start, getting started in property. It took me 5 years to become a full-time property investor. So I went full-time property, quit my job again after having 10 properties, and my share of the income from those properties was enough to cover my overheads and allow me to go full-time. Now at that time I then set up the Scottish Property Meet, which grew to be the second largest property networking event in the UK, and through doing that I had a great network, sold a lot of deals to us, packaging up lots of deals. I had a lot of different joint venture partners that came on board to work with me to build a portfolio with. And because I was having a lot of success at such a young age, I got invited to speak at other property education companies to share my story and what I was up to and what I was doing, as well as lots of other property networking events all across the UK. So I really started to build my profile, started to make a name for myself, and really started to do a lot more deals because people wanted to work with me. And I made my first million through property by the age of 25, lost it by the age of 26. Now when I say lost it, I kind of squandered a lot of the money. Thankfully I invested a large portion of it into property, but for me it was like a lottery win. So much money came in so fast that I couldn't manage it. I never had the money management skills. I never had the right wealth thermostat. So for me, it was like having to relearn how to manage money. I had to get business coaches and mentors to help me actually build a proper business, because everything up until then I'd just done on myself. I just basically went out there and done things. It was just chaotic, it was crazy, just doing lots of property things. I had no idea what I was really doing, and I wasn't actually building a proper property business. So things had to change, and this is why I said that the first half of my property journey, the first 8 years, was all about just learning the ropes, figuring things out, making the mistakes, trying to figure out what was going to be the right strategy for me and so forth. But then I started to build a proper property business, and then my portfolio went into multiple seven figures. We've bought and flipped tens of millions of pounds worth of property. We've packaged up literally hundreds of deals that were sold on to investors. And more recently, over the last few years, we've started to focus more on acquiring land and going for strategic land acquisition and going for planning gain and selling on to developers. And we've then added in the retirement village concept as well. So we're getting sites, getting planning for retirement villages and selling them on to bigger developers in that marketplace as well. And recently we've decided to take on some of these developments to build out ourselves. We're going to appoint a main contractor to do the developments and build out. So new build development is something, and land acquisition is something that we've moved into over the last few years. And I've got other interests in different property businesses as well. And over the last few years, started to diversify a little bit and becoming a shareholder in a number of different businesses that have got nothing to do with the property industry, where I'm bringing value there, supporting people and helping them grow their property business too, as well as their own business in different industries. So it's been quite exciting about what I've been up to and what I've been doing. It's been a proper roller coaster. And the education side of things, a lot of people ask me what made me get involved in education. So at the age of 27, because of having the success that I had and lost the money and then built it back up again, a lot of people would be asking me, well, how did I do it? So at first I would, teach people at the Scottish Property Meet and things that I was doing, and people would come up to me and ask me things like, Paul, do you do any mentoring? Do you have a training course? And before you know it, I created Property Protege. And Property Protege is the only program that we have been running consistently for the last 7 years that just constantly gets results. It's continued to evolve and grow. And that's why I said go to paulmcfaddenwealth.com and check out the Protege program there, or go straight to propertyprotege.com and you'll see what we do. But what I then started to do after getting all the success stories that we're having from people that have gone through our training programs, I started to launch podcasts, I started to put myself out there on social media and everything else, and started to build up a little bit more of my own brand. Then we started to get involved in bigger events as well, such as bringing Grant Cardone to the UK to do the 10X UK tour, where we took him to London, then we took him to Wales to speak with Lord Sugar, then to Glasgow. We had big events planned for 2020, but of course, the global health pandemic had a different plan in play. So again, our goal going forward is to do some larger scale events like the Grant Cardone ones, but at larger scale as well, with some top well-known worldwide speakers that we can bring on board to support people in the business journey and help people in entrepreneurship and personal development and all that good stuff as well. So that's really my journey up until now, and I look forward to sharing more of that with you and a lot of the lessons learned through that whole period of times, because there's so much that I can help you fast track your journey and learn from my mistakes as we go along. And that's why I've put this podcast together. It's going to be fun, it's going to be great. We've got a whole year together where every morning I'm going to be dropping some top tips that's going to help you on your journey as you go forward. So I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be exciting. And day 2 tomorrow we'll get started. So all the best. I'll catch up with you soon. Bye for now.